Hi, in this video we will talk about geography and ecology concepts, and at the end of the video we will talk about their relationship between these sciences. This was made by Yajaira Navarro and Shadei Ramos. Geography concepts. Geography is a science that helps us to understand how our planet and phenomena in it works. Geography is a multidisciplinary science because it integrates other sciences' knowledge as well, such as ecology. Ecology studies living things and their relationship in different environments, but we will see that later. Geography has relations with other sciences, as we mentioned before. That's why we have human, physical, and biological geography. Natural landscape. How the name indicates, a natural landscape means that it hasn't been altered by any human action. Cultural landscape. This landscape can be created or modified by people to adapt basic needs. A perfect example of this is a farm. In methodological principles, we have location, causality, relation, generality, and evolution, which helps us to study why the phenomena occur on Earth. Location means that all the geographical elements happen in a specific area. That's why we have latitude, longitude, and altitude. How we mentioned before, we have causality. This means that thanks to this we can answer the questions of how and why did it happen. We have relation too. It answers the question, which other events or phenomena is it related to? In generality, we can answer the questions when and where does it happen? Evolution means that we can answer the question how does a transformation occur? Because evolution studies the transformation that the geographical events and phenomena undergo. Geographical references. These are imaginary spots, lines, and circles that represent the poles and many other stuff. We use them to understand much better the events and phenomena that occur on Earth. Maps. Maps are plain representations of Earth. In geography, it is very important to use maps for an explanation of a phenomena or an event. The solar system is a group of bodies that orbit around the Sun. There are different theories explaining the origin of the solar system. Now you will learn the components of it. We have planets. These are dull bodies that are capable of reflecting light and revolve around the Sun in elliptical orbits. Nowadays there are 8 planets in the solar system. We also have asteroids, which are rocky bodies. Asteroids are also known as planetoids. We also have small rocky bodies that move around bigger objects, which are called satellites. We have artificial and natural as well. There are meteors, which are chunks of rock. We have comets too, which are low-density bodies. The word comet means hairy body. The Sun is a star, and as such doesn't have a solid surface, but is a ball of gas. It's a source of energy for our planet Earth. The Moon. It is the Earth's only natural satellite. The Moon has some effects on Earth, such as tides, which are periodical ascendant and descendant movement in the sea water. Also, the moon has different phases, which we can see them at night. For example, we have the waxing crescent, the first quarter, waxing gibbous, and full moon. Earth structure studies are carried out mainly through the study of the seismic waves propagation. Thanks to it, we can identify them as having the following layers: nucleus, mantle, crust, and lithosphere. The Earth landscape is formed with the plate collisions. The most common landscapes forms are plains, plateaus, and mountains. The atmosphere is a gaseous layer that surrounds the Earth, and it is considered the outermost layer of Earth's structure. Climate is a set of meteorological phenomena that characterize a place. It is very similar to weather, but it's not the same thing. Hydrosphere is considered a layer of Earth's structure, which covers 70% of the entire planet's surface. Water doesn't remain static because it's in constant motion. That's why there is a water cycle, which the steps are the following. We have evaporation. This means that water turns into gas. Condensation. Water vapor turns back into liquid. Precipitation. Water vapor falls under gravity from clouds. And collection. Water comes from clouds. Most will suck underground. Urban water cycle. Fresh water from rivers is exploited to urban concentrations for our needs. Seawater. Large bodies of water stored in depressions of the Earth's crust. Continental water is fresh water and it is found in the continents, rivers, lakes, groundwater, aquifers, and glaciers. Having in mind what we have learned before, we will talk about ecology concepts. In economic geography, it helps us to identify the type of markets and consumers. Physical geography is a discipline that studies the Earth's surface and its natural or physical appearance. It is the distribution of population and its relationship with the physical and social aspects. Biotic. Factors that regulate the size of populations. This type is called density-dependent factors. Abiotic prevents populations from overgrowing. These abiotic conditions can be very intense and are considered natural disasters. Throughout history, there have been many who have given something to ecology as a science. In 1869, Ernst Haeckel is the first to use the term ecology to define the relationship between living organisms and the habitat in which they move. Ecology as a multidisciplinary science, it integrates all branches of biology, such as botany, zoology, sociology, anatomy, microbiology, genetics, among others. Autecology. This branch analyzes the mutual interactions between the environment and the organisms. Synecology. Its field of study is the community and the environment that surrounds it within a geographical area. Population ecology. It studies a population in terms of its environment and relationships with other populations. The ecosystem ecology deals with mass and energy flows between organisms. Community: set of populations of different species that interact and share a common point in space that is called habitat. Successional dynamics: changes occurring in the structure of communities over time. Each community has different characteristics from other, such as species richness and compositions. That is why we can study and classify using emergent properties. The ecological restoration is a series of actions to recover all of a damaged community, often need human help in order to accelerate the regeneration. Now that we have learned many concepts about ecology and geography, we can see that they are very related because both sciences study the environment and their issues as well. They study the distribution and life on Earth. Geography studies living things and their distribution over locations, climatic regions, and continents. Ecology studies human and wildlife and their distribution in an environment. All of these concepts are very related because they talk about Earth and explains us how our planet works and how the phenomena occur.